Welcome back to the Leg Up courtesy of UPC Showdown. I am Blake Johnston. That's Nick Lloyd. You've heard enough of Sam Wood this week so far. We're going to get stuck into some tips, Nick Lloyd.
We are, BJ. Another big Group 1 race day. You just cannot beat the Spring Carnival. The good horses are back. We've got a cracking Group 1 to get through in Melbourne, so I'm pumped.
Yeah, cracking Group 1, a Group 1 that could really shape the spring. Pride of Jenny, Mr. Brightside. Pride of Jenny has a 4-1 head-to-head lead on Mr. Brightside, but if he's going to beat her, 1,400 metres might be his go.
Well, you bang on because the one time Mr. Brightside has had the wood over Pride of Jenny was this track and trip first up in the autumn, I think in a CF Or. So I'm thinking the Hayes boys, I'm thinking that they've got to have their bloke screwed right down if they want to win a Group 1 because they might not get the chance to beat Pride of Jenny again this spring and, throw in the likes of Via Sistina, Fangirl, Riff Rocket, like all those horses went super first up last Saturday. So, yeah, Mr. Brightside might be the one to really be nailed down, ready to win.
Before we get stuck into leg 9 of the UPC Showdown, which is the Group 1 Memsie Stakes, let's go back a week. We haven't really touched on that mare that you just mentioned, Via Sistina. How good was she winning the Wink Stakes Group 1 over 1,400 metres?
Well, it was a bit of a warning sign, wasn't it, for what's to come because there were a few, there weren't many sharp judges on board thinking that she was going to be able to win first up 1,400, and you copped a bit of stick on our socials because you called Fangirl far lap on this show last week, and then you've come out and you've tipped Via Sistina on the day. So hats off to you, BJ. But she was awesome. Karen McAvoy, great ride. Probably helped every other horse got further off the fence than they had earlier in the day and just gave her that saloon passage. But she really knuckled down and knocked me and Sam off on Zoo Gotcha.
It was a great ride by Karen McAvoy. That was the difference. Usually, James would be the one saving that little bit of ground on the turn and then looking for the better going. But I guess he just sort of didn't want to push the button on Fangirl too early, given that she was, 250 days or so between runs, bigger races, bigger fish to fry in the autumn. But she was great as well. But I just think the big mare, when she knuckled down late, she's going to be very hard to beat. I think she goes to a Mackay Diva Stakes next. Grand final will be the Cox Plate. I don't think they go to a King George, do they, with Via Sistina?
No, I doubt it. I think that'll be Fangirl's probably main target, whether or not Fangirl backs up 7 days later into a Cox Plate. But she'll be trying to go back-to-back in the old King Charlie. So, yeah, we'll see. But, yeah, I think Via Sistina's the...
is very interesting, to tell you the truth, because a lot of them will have their grand finals, including two horses that are in this Memsie Stakes, Pride of Jenny and Mr. Brightside, Fangirl. A lot of these horses that are high up in Cox Plate markets might not end up there.
Yeah, it's going to be a bizarre sort of spring to see how this pans out with, like you say, the King Charles 7 days before. Last year it was 2 weeks before, so horses could do that pretty comfortably. But, yeah, now it might fall away a little bit, the Cox Plate, with $5 million up for grabs over the Randwick Mile 7 days earlier.
Yeah, I think the Cox Plate before after the King Charles, that Cox Plate complexion is going to change greatly because it's hard to have a grand final, travel interstate, and then have another grand final 7 days. So Via Sistina is the one that is going to sort of she's going to be at her peak on Cox Plate Day, but the rest of them, I'm not sure. So interesting to see how that plays out. But we got a Group 1 on Saturday. It is leg 9 of your UPC Showdown, the Memsie Stakes. Betting's been interesting so far. It's an interesting battle for favourite because Pride of Jenny went up favourite earlier in the week. Mr. Brightside, he went up with a 3 in front of his name, and they're both sort of hovering around that $2.50 mark at the moment. What did you like? What will you be taking in your UPC Showdown, Nick Lloyd?
Yeah, I don't really know how to play the showdown for this race. I think Mr. Brightside wins. So I'm thinking where it's sort of a race in two maybe 3 at the top if you want to include Antino. But I'm just going to put Mr. Brightside in my showdown. I think he had the wood over Pride of Jenny first up this track and trip in the autumn. If they want to beat her, it's got to be on Saturday. Barrier 4, Craig Williams knows the horse well. He's just going to get that perfect run in behind. Pride of Jenny, barrier 7. Gentleman Roy, barrier 8. That makes the speed a little bit interesting. So he's just going to get the drop on them in the first shot. And I think he'll be the one ready to go. I think he's had 3 jump outs and trials. So he'll be really screwed down. And Bandersnatch might be the blowout.
I thought you were going to tip Antino.
No, he's not one of mine, the old Queenslander.
It's not one of yours. But he did trial well behind Pride of Jenny in that trial as well. But I don't know, good horses trialing good. You'd expect them to trial good.
He does usually trial like a slug.
Does he?
Yeah, so it was a much improved trial for his standards. So that was interesting.
Yeah, interesting. There wasn't much between Mr. Brightside and Pride of Jenny in that 1,400 metres when Mr. Brightside got over the top late. How do I play it? I'm probably going to play Pinstripe, to tell you the truth. Okay. He had a fair break between runs first up this preparation, and he got into a bit of a bumping duel with Jimmy the Bear, and I just don't think that did him any favours. His best form, it measures up to a race like this, staying at 1,400 metres. I'm not sure how that plays out for him. He might be looking for a mile now, but you got to be looking at horses. I like to be looking at horses at double figure odds, and I think he's probably the best double figure odd. Best chance at double figure odds here. Mr. Brightside, Prana Jenny, obviously they're the 2 to beat, but he would probably need both of them to stub their toe, but he could fill a place, and I think he's the horse that I'm going to be playing in the UPC Showdown. But we'll move on. We'll move on to your tip for the UPC Showdown. We're going to go back in time. Caulfield Race 8, which is leg 7 of your UPC Showdown. Where is the money going here? Rise at Dawn is at the top of the market, but he's a dual acceptor, so he's still in at Rose Hill. So I'm not sure what the market does with him. We're going to find out in the next 24 to 48 hours where they're going to go with him. Jimmy the Bear is in this race, so that form would have to stack up pretty well given the fact that Pinstripe goes to a Group 1. So what are you going to be playing in this leg of the UPC Showdown, Lloydie?
This is a very speculative leg for me, BJ, and it's horse number 11, St. George. I've laid them to make the top 8 in the NRL final, so I hope they go no good this weekend. But this bloke from Kieran Maher's stable, this time 12 months ago, he was about a $15 chance all in the Melbourne Cup markets. He had a setback. We haven't seen him race here in Australia yet, but he's had 3 barrier trials and jump outs. He's been just warming up late over the unsuitable trips. He finds 1,700 metres first up, gate 2, gets Jamie Carr, 54 kilos. He's got a very good record over in Europe, over much further. So he's definitely going to be on a Cups path. But he was $51 last night when I was having a bit of a squiz, and I see he's into about $15, $16 now. So someone's had something on him. But if he can sort of bring the hype that he had this time 12 months ago, I'm just going to include him in what's a pretty open race outside the top 2.
Yeah, I actually do remember an interview with Kieran Maher from last spring, and I think that he put St. George as his top seed for the Melbourne Cup.
Yes. So it'd be a big cup watch on Saturday.
Yeah, 100%. If he's running into a place over 1,700 metres first up for the stable, then he might be a real Melbourne Cup horse. We're going to go to my tip, Rose Hill Race 9, which is leg 8 of your UPC Showdown. Rose Hill Race 9, and I am going with a Bjorn Baker trained runner here. Which one do you reckon, Lloydie?
I reckon you're going to go the Lips.
I am going Thunderlips. I thought Thunderlips was very good first up. Really, the wide draw didn't help him at all. That was behind Piastri. Began well, wanted to find a spot on speed, but couldn't find one. Eased back. Eventually found a spot, but covered extra ground. But I really like the way that he found the line. He produced the sixth best last 400 meters of the meeting. Steps up in trip now. Plenty of speed engaged here. Gets the opportunity to find a spot just behind that lead speed, and he improved sharply second up to win. So I think that he is going to be very hard to beat at double figure odds, and he is my play in leg 8 of the UPC Showdown. Lloydie.
Like it, mate. That's it from us. We've got through a few tips and hopefully a few winners.
Hopefully, punters. Hopefully, we found you guys a few winners. Make sure you get involved in Group 1 action on your UPC Showdown app. Hopefully, you can find the winners and get amongst the money. Thanks, Lloydie.
Cheers, BJ.
Have a great week, punters.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.